Today we'll be looking at installing a NetScaler Express VPX as a replacement to what was a Citrix Secure Gateway in the environment. And you might ask, why would we be doing that? Well, in case you haven't heard the news that Microsoft is going to retire support for SHA-1 type certificates in the next 4 months, at least as per the date on this article. And you'll find numerous articles out there on the internet regarding that same subject. And the Citrix Secure Gateways running on your Windows 2003 or Windows 2008 type servers out there did not support this. At least not until, I'd say, maybe 2 months ago. There was a release of a couple patches by Citrix that are supposed to enable that support. But I personally have not tried it yet, so anticipate that it will work, but again have not tested it. So thinking along the lines of, well, enabled to perhaps lessen our vulnerability in terms of footprint with Wintel servers out in the DMZ environment, we look at installing web interface on a NetScaler to make that happen. Now, I would recommend before we do that you take a look at a couple articles. There are 3 articles I'd recommend. First, that's a CTX 127.431. It talks about the way you should split certificates before installing them on the NetScaler as part of this process. Also, CTX 130.435 talks about looking at an area on the NetScaler regarding logs to troubleshoot if you are receiving this unresponsiveness in a web page. Thirdly would be the CTX 13.2295. It talks about they're basically updating the version of Java that gets installed by way of the web interface installation and configuration. It does this to provide support for the stronger SSL ciphers, so you are going to want to do that as well as part of this installation. Alright, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. So here we go. Kill this. Come into our NetScaler login. Part of the staging of the environment, what I have done to kind of save time here is I have copied the NetScaler web interface files and the JDK up to the NetScaler already. These files are available from Citrix. If as you migrate, but as you look at the download page for the NetScaler Express files, you'll see typically if you scroll down towards the bottom for web interface support, you'll see these as available as a download as well. So I've done that already and copied up to my NetScaler. I've put them in the var temp folder already. So again, with this NetScaler, all I've done thus far with it was upload it and stage those files. I've also installed some certificates. I've installed a wildcard certificate. It makes things easier as far as setting up my SSL virtual servers with my root and an intermediate certificate I have on the server as well. So let's proceed on down to the installation of the web interface. So with that, I'm going to jump into the web interface wizard. And I'm just going to browse towards that path. I'm going to say we're looking at the appliance, and it's going to be in our temp folder for our web interface. And the JRE, we're going to browse to the appliance again. My temp folder, and there's my jar. Sites, I'm going to change that down to 3. The more sites that you plan to have on your NetScaler, the more memory you need to have on the NetScaler. And continue. And we're only going to use 1 site. So it's currently decompressing and then installing the web interface. After this, we'll begin our configuration. Okay, installed successfully. click on OK. This is going to be our first site, so I'll just call it Site 1. And we're going to use timeout of 20, direct. No, we're going to make it gateway direct, because after all, we're going to be replacing our Citrix Secure Gateway with this. The authentication point is going to be at our NetScaler gateway. We don't have one currently configured on the NetScaler, so we're going to click on the plus sign. This is going to be at an address 10.10.10.198, port 443. The name we're going to give this is training-gateway, and continue. I have a wildcard certificate already installed on this, and I'm going to say continue. Authentication. We're going to use Active Directory, so that's going to be an LDAP. The name we're going to call this is just going to be training-LDAP. And my domain controller for authentication is going to be at 10.10.10.5. We're going to set our base DN at DC equal training, comma, DC equal lab. Service account for querying Active Directory is going to be service account I've already pre-configured or created. This could be any user that has access to Active Directory. But I've called this service LDAP at training.lab. Password for this is password how we're going to address or use that in terms of its attribute. We're going to use the SAM account name. No secondary authentication. Continue. And done. Scroll down. We're going to use explicit for our authentication and training. You notice it put the asterisk there. That's because I have a wildcard, but I'm going to use my train as the actual website that users are going to hit on this NetScaler. Also, I'm going to jump into settings. This is going to be my policy. So, training gateway dash policy or POL. We're going to come in by way of ICA. We're going to leave this at the default. Notice at the end it already plugged in Site 1, normal portal for the web interface, single sign-on domain, so users do not have to enter the domain information in their NetScaler logon. The domain is training. Single sign-on, allow, create. Okay, need to enter STA servers. That's going to be HTTP. These are going to be my XenApp servers. Colon whack whack drn dash XenApp 651 dot training dot lab. I'm going to copy that. STA server number 2. Change that to server 2. Go back down. Add DNS entry. It's going to do this for on our NetScaler, and also it's going to trust the SSL certificate. Say continue. And we'll wait and wait and wait. And it's still thinking. Remember that you also need to update your Citrix clients. Again, must be using receiver 3.4 or 4.x and above. as far as compatibility goes. Otherwise, they will fail when they try to connect to the site. Okay, so I'm going to make this site case insensitive. Continue. Not change any access methods or put any rules there. I'm just going to select continue. Farm, we have to identify our Citrix farm. Add. This is similar to the old web interface configurations that we would need to do. The farm name is, and again, this is just the generic name, the app 65 farm. XML service address is going to be our Citrix servers for XML. So we'll put a comma there. Copy that. Paste it, minus the comma, change this to 2. That way I've got redundancy as far as my XML queries. I'm going to leave it at port 80 for now. HTTP, we're not doing SSL relay, at least not in this video here, and I'm not going to load balance them. So we will basically stick to one unless there's a failure, and if there's a failure then it will bounce to the second one. And create. And say OK, and continue. And done. Okay, that's our basic configuration. We should be up and running. However, one last thing I need to do here is get those jar files replaced so we can use the higher encryption levels available with SHA-2. So let me jump back over to my secure copy interface here. Jump over to the Java that I've already pre-downloaded from Oracle. This needs to be copied over to our var. Let me do a refresh on this. Web interface, Java home, lib directory. So I'll grab those two files, copy them over. Great, they're copied over. I'm going to go ahead and start a putty session over to the gateway. Jump out to the shell and then issue the command kill all Java. Okay, and we can exit out of that. So by rights I should be up and running now. So let me jump over to another tab, jump into a browser that will go out to the mytraining.lab. Notice that my certificate chain looks good. Log in. So we're waiting. Jumps to the web interface. And if we're lucky, I haven't made any typos. And there's my published app. Clicked on it and waiting. Starting my connection, and there's my notepad that was published. Flip on over to my XenApp server, do a refresh here. You'll see there I am connected in. Okay, that's about it. And again, just follow this step by step, look at those articles, and good luck. Alright, thanks for watching the video.